My next step is to create a repository class. A repository isn't a particular kind of architecture component. Instead, it is just considered a best practice. And an app that can work with both local and remote data, a repository class can encapsulate the logic you need to decide where the data will come from. My app is only working with local data right now, but eventually I might want to work with cloud-based storage and only use local data as a cache. So adding a repository layer from the beginning will make my app easy to expand later on. A repository is created as a singleton, so you are always referencing the same instance of the class from anywhere in the application. I will create this new class in my database package and I will name it app repository. It doesn't have any particular kind of superclass, but I will use the singleton pattern that is provided by Android Studio. So that creates a class with a private static field, and that's an instance of the class. A get instance method that is also static and a private constructor. Now I want to store my data reference in the repository. I will go to my view model and I will take this bit of code and copy it, and I will come back to the repository and I will paste it into the place. And when prompted to select classes to import, I will click OK. Now in the repository, I don't want to initialize the data right away. I only want to declare it. And then I want to initialize it in private constructor. So now as the repository instantiated, is instantiated, it gets its all data. And right now, I am still getting the data from my sample data class. Now, I will change the view model to get the data from the repository. I will change these fields as follows. First of all, I will no longer get the data from sample data. I will just declare it here. And then I will create a new field that will be a reference to the repository. And then I will create a new field that will be a reference to the repository. I will call it mRepository. And then in the constructor, I will initialize both of those variables. First, I will get the repository, and I will get that by calling appRepository.getInstance. And then I will initialize mNodes, and I will get that data from the repository. So functionally, I haven't really added anything. I will still getting data from the sample data class, but now I have one additional logic layer. The app's data is always being provided by a single class, the repository. That repository will now decide what the true data source is. Right now it is sample data that I can change it to SQLite, and nothing else would need to change in the view model or the activity. And because it is a singleton, that data will be shared with all of the apps, activities, and fragments. I will run the app one more time and once again just to make sure that nothing is broken, and there is my sample data.